and there's a strong Nazi presence in Casablanca. And at the start of the movie, you meet a character called Captain Renault, who was played by Claude Rains. I think he might be most famous for playing the Invisible Man in the Adventures of Robin Hood. He's done so many great stuff, but I love Claude Rains. Love him to bit. He's one of my favorite actors. It's a supporting role, but he's part of what makes Casablanca one of the most beloved movies of all time. The value this actor brings to Casablanca is part of why Casablanca is such a special movie. He really contributes to the importance of Casablanca. And at the start of the movie, we meet a group of Nazi soldiers, and they're being introduced to Captain Renault, the police prefect of Casablanca. And at the start, Captain Renault, he seems to be friendly with the Nazis. And I think part of what makes this movie so special is we learn throughout the movie his loyalty does not lie with the Nazis. His loyalty lies with the people he's most fond of. And part of the story is seeing his fondness for the main character, Rick, played by Humphrey Bogart. And Captain Renault, he's the one who tells the Nazis and the audience that there's a bar in Casablanca called Rick's, owned by Rick Blaine. I sometimes wonder if Captain Renault, played by Claude Rains, whether he's, the audience. We first learn about Rick, Bogart's character, through Captain Renault, and he's telling the Nazis and the audience that he couldn't make Rick sound more charming. But there's a reason why this police captain is telling the Nazis about Rick's bar. So I mentioned that Casablanca is a place where people are stuck in. They want to get out. They want to get out of Europe. To do that, they've got to get to Lisbon. So what people want are these transit papers, essentially visas, that allow them to get to Lisbon. In the story of this movie, this is the most valuable item, these transit papers, these visas. And at the start of the movie, 2 German couriers have been murdered on a train. They've been murdered, and they were carrying 2 transit papers, 2 visas. And someone killed these German officers, and someone killed these German couriers, stole the transit papers they were carrying. And now the Nazis are looking for this man. And now the Nazis are looking for this person who has stolen these visas, these transit papers. And based on the information they have, they believe this murderer was headed towards Casablanca. So that's why the Nazis are in Casablanca, to find this murderer who has these 2 transit papers, these 2 visas, which people need to get out of Nazi Europe. So obviously the Nazis don't want anyone getting a hold of these papers. And that's why the Nazis want to know from Captain Renault where this murderer would most likely be. And Captain Renault, he tells the Nazis that the murder would most likely be at Rick's Cafe. And he explains that everybody comes to Rick's. I believe the play the movie's based on was based on a play called Everybody Comes to Rick's. So the Nazis are going to search for the murderer in Rick's Cafe. And Rick's Cafe, it plays a very important role in Casablanca because there's a war going on, and where Europe is being threatened by the Nazis. It's a world of trouble. It's a world of fear. And in that world of trouble, in that world of fear, Rick's Cafe is this world where people can just escape mentally and emotionally. They can escape from that fear. They can escape from that world of fear and that world of trouble by coming into this cafe, this bar, which is like another world. And Rick's friend, his right-hand man, Sam, is an entertainer. He's playing this wonderful music, and you really get the sense that this is a world where people come to escape from the world outside. And it's almost like Rick's Cafe is synonymous with the power of movies. We come to movies in the same way people come to Rick's Cafe. People come to the movies. Or a great movie, a great book. People come to a great story to sink inside a world that cleanses them and refreshes them for all the fear and trouble of the world outside. So, it's really interesting how Rick's Cafe is synonymous with the power of movies, with the power of storytelling, with the power of movies, with the power of storytelling, where people can escape from the world outside, a world of fear and trouble. A world that people would much rather avoid. And it's crazy, Casablanca took place during Nazi occupation, and sadly there are things happening in the world where people are facing the same kind of threat and people are, and I think Casablanca is more important than it ever was because of that desperation to get out of somewhere that poses such a threat to people's lives. People are desperate. There are places where people are desperate to get out of,